But I realize my fear of relationships with people in general, I cannot hold on to negative experiences from the past and not make certain moves in my present life, in my present day, because of issues from the past, right? I can miss out on great experiences with people if I stay that way. So something that I'm doing to work through those fears is to let my guard down.
It's time to start the show and educate the people. Oh, it's time to help you see just how you can be financially free with Cleo.
Welcome back to Financially Free with Cleo podcast. I am your host, Cleo Childress, and we are at part 2 of the 5-part fear series, where I'm sharing some of my fears, why they exist, what I'm doing to work through them, and how you can do the same. All right, y'all, part 2. So another one of my fears is fears of relationships with people in general. So fear of relationships with friends, family members, romantic relationships, business relationships, and where it comes from is having negative experiences from the past. So I've had friendships where, people that I thought were my friends, I felt like they backstabbed me. You know the song, Backstabbers. Or they disappointed me, let me down. Or I've had friendships that just didn't last like I thought they would, that, affected me in a negative way. Or I have family members that I didn't have really good experiences with. So recently I did a episode on the Dear Son podcast where I had a conversation about my father. Not a positive conversation. So me having a negative experience with my father definitely stemmed over in me having negative experiences with men, starting with my daughter's father. But then over the years, I had experiences where I noticed how those relationships affected how I dealt with men in general, not just on the romantic side, but also on the friendship side, having friendships with men. And then friendships with not just men, but with women too. I've had friendships that, didn't work out, and I kind of would get to a point where I'm like, well, what's the point of me, getting any new friends? So friendships, family members, romantic relationships, business relationships, I personally don't have a negative experience with a business relationship, but I have people that I know that have shared their negative business relationship stories. And I'm like, ooh, I just want to avoid it, right? But I realize my fear of relationships with people in general, I cannot hold on to negative experiences from the past and not make certain moves in my present life, in my present day, because of issues from the past, right? I can miss out on great experiences with people if I stay that way. So something that I'm doing to work through those fears is to let my guard down and be intentional about spending time with other people. So I consider myself an introvert. I like to be alone. I love my me time. But I will have people that will be like, Cleo, how could you go on a trip by yourself? How could you go to the movies by yourself? How could you go out to eat by yourself? What is wrong with you, Cleo? And to me, it's not a big deal because I've done it for so long. And it's not that I go out and I'm miserable and lonely and sad out by myself. I have lots of fun going places by myself. But there are times when I do go places by myself, I do have moments where I'm like, man, I wish it was somebody else here with me. Even if I'm at home, and I'm watching a movie and it's a funny movie and I'm laughing, I'm like, dang, I wish it was somebody here laughing with me because this movie is funny, But I'm the type of person where I am comfortable being alone, even though I have moments where I wish I was around people sometimes. So if I go out with people, whether it's at an event with hundreds of people or it's a group of 15, 10 people or only a couple of people, even though I may enjoy myself or have fun, there's still a part of me that wants to, I can't wait till I get back home and chill out and relax, put on my around the house clothes and just vibe, right? But I sometimes wonder, me wanting to always be alone, is that a problem? Can that develop into a problem? Is it already a problem for me? It could be. I don't know. What y'all think? Is wanting to be alone too much a bad thing? You know, because I have friends who are extremely social. They always like to be around people all the time. And I'm like, don't you get tired of being around people all the time? And they're like, no. So it's like the opposite with me. I like to be alone, and they're confused like, girl, what is wrong with you? Are you okay? If you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you're still struggling managing your money, you need to join me in the Daily Money Habits text community. Sometimes when we're trying to level up in our finances, we can get overwhelmed and not do anything at all. And then other times we start and we fall off track real quick. And I want to help you stay focused. So in the Daily Money Habits text community, you will get a text from me every single day with a financial affirmation to help empower you and help push you forward through this journey. And the second thing is an action step, me telling you exactly what you need to do every single day to reach those money goals. And you'll also get monthly financial workshops so you can continue on this education and helping you take action on all of this information that you are receiving. So text Money Habits, all caps, to 615-813-4827. It is a paid community. It's $37 a month. But hey, we got to invest in ourselves, right? If we want to see real results. So I will see you in the Daily Money Habits text community. That you want to be alone? So like I said, what I'm doing to work through my fears of building and nurturing relationships with other people is, like I said, letting my guard down, being intentional with spending time with other people, whether if it's friends, family members, romantic partners, or business relationships, but also reminding myself, Cleo, that if certain relationships don't work out, it's going to be all right. You will get over it. You will move on. Life goes on. You know, certain relationships don't work out. I know people have had relationships with me, whether if it's on a friend level, family, romantic, you know, the only relationship I really haven't had, you know, seriously, I haven't had a whole lot of business relationship with people. Like I, you know, had business partnerships. I haven't had any like real business partnerships that turned negative. Like I've connected and networked with people, but I haven't had any like serious, like, oh, I'm partnering on a deal with someone. But I've heard stories from other people and I'm like, ooh, I want to avoid those type of business partnerships. But I just want to make sure that I am understanding that all relationships aren't meant to last. And that's just how life is. We have relationships. It could only just be for a period of time. Sometimes it's only meant to be for a season. Everyone is not meant to be your forever type of relationship, partnership. Sometimes it's only meant for those few weeks or those few months or a certain number of years. Everybody and everything is not meant to be a lifetime. So that's what I'm doing to work through my fears of relationships with people, friends, family, business relationship, romantic relationships, is letting my guard down, being intentional about spending time with other people, and reminding myself that it's okay if certain relationships don't work out. Life goes on. I didn't die. I won't die, right? So I want to encourage you to think about your fears around relationships with people. Do you have any fears when it comes to relationships with family, friends, business, or romantic relationships? And if you do, what are you going to do to work through it? Do you need to let your guard down? Do you need to be more intentional about spending time with other people? Do you need to not stop being an introvert, but do you need to at least spend more time with other people and a little less time alone, right? So think about that. And I want you to challenge yourself to really, really, really think about it. You know, we're trying to think deeper here, because that's how I really started to think about all these fears that I really have, is to really think deep. So think about those fears about relationships, and I hope you will tune in to next week, which is part 3 of our 5-part fear series. I'll see you next week.
You can be financially free with Cleo.